Welcome everyone. Today is the 30th of August 2021. It's 4 minutes past 8 local time. In this video I will do something I should also do from time to time, namely we look at all kinds of other financial markets beyond Forex. Yes, Forex is by far the biggest market, the euro dollar is by far the biggest market. But that doesn't mean that we should ignore other big markets. So I'll just walk you through some charts here. Please understand that I focus here on a technical perspective just to give you some orientation, and I may mention a little bit of fundamental comments, but the edge of our actual trading is on the market structure, the leading information in Forex. So when it comes to these other markets, the structure of those markets is slightly different. There is also manipulation, but it works differently, so keep that in mind. So some of my analysis may not be as precise as in Forex, which you have observed for a long time, but it's good, to understand what's going on. So let's start. This is like a Ftse 100 equivalent index, 7,147. The British market almost recovered from the Brexit crash, but it did not go up as much as the American market, which you can see here, the S&P, which is doing all-time highs, 4,536. And as long as this trend line is not broken, these are just pullbacks. So what's going on in equities? Well, at this point, with those highly inflated markets, it's a game which is directed by the central bank, the Federal Reserve, and any inflation data outliers. Okay, that's why the market in the next 10 months or so will be very sensitive to any inflation data, economic news items such as CPI, okay, or producer price index, etc. So keep that in mind. Also, Forex will be moved more by those items, because depending on how the data will develop, at some point the central bank may make a move, even if it's just in form of a stronger comment, in case of which markets can do big moves, and we're talking about corrections or even like an implosion, depending on the other economic data items, okay, how the economy worldwide is doing on a macro level. So that means short-term bullish, but long-term highly risky, very sensitive to black swan risk, to gray swan risk. Okay, a lot of people have made a lot of money around the world. Here we see the stock market V, the unusual pattern, the big crash, which was predicted by many people, but then followed by a dramatic bull market, and some people were able to catch parts of it, and it really is a straight line up. We have not really seen a move like this in the financial history. That's no exaggeration. However, today in August 2021, as you can see, where COVID went into another stage, but the big companies actually cashed in big time and have profited well, and those are the ones which moved those indices. Yeah, we're talking about expensive markets and equities. That's common sense. Some people have doubled, tripled, quadrupled their money just by going long. But as soon as we enter a new economic phase, there can be moves, as we have seen before in history. Okay. And remember, when you go back in history, you can see the market going down also over 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We have seen that. So people think everything has to go up. It doesn't have to, despite this dramatic increase. Let's look at crypto. This is Bitcoin, 48,000. Could recover a bit from this 50k level and go a bit sideways, but Once it attacks the $50,000 level, if it breaks it, there's a good chance it goes for the 60,000. So allow me to show you something, and this is, please understand, this is purely technical what I will show you here. Namely, and experienced traders have seen that quite some time in other markets, yeah. So when you look at the long-term chart, okay, the market first did what? Sorry, did an uptrend, did a high, corrects down, does a pullback. This is a very, very decisive point for the market. Why? Because if it does not manage to attack the high and implodes, can go down for a long time. However, if the market actually attacks the high, breaks it, then we're talking about another phase increase. This seems to be the more likely scenario right now. So we are very close from a technical perspective to this inflection point, let's call it. If this inflection point goes in favor of crypto, I wouldn't be surprised if over a 6-7 year period we see a big increase in this market. Especially for Ethereum. See, that looks kind of bullish. And it can again do crazy moves. Understand, those are long-term plays. I do not encourage anyone to short-term trade crypto. You're gambling. I'm talking about long-term investment. Buying the physical thing, not with CFDs or anything or on margin. Buying it and holding it. Hodling. Okay, buying and holding. And having a multi-year time frame view. 5-6 years minimum. Short-term trading is for Forex, where we have an edge. These things are long-term investment, okay? Okay, let's look at the other markets. Oil, I predicted that. So it was short-term bearish, but long-term rather bullish on a fundamental level. It can go flat, like I've shown here. It can again attack a low, but then fundamentally it can go back up and break the 77 level at some point. I don't trade this one. I stay away from this. This was a fantastic opportunity here, and I traded some of it. But this here, I will not just, take a risk on. Why should I? Okay, we have an edge in our markets. These are more fundamentally driven. There are other types of manipulation going on. So I'm just staying on the sidelines. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the long term it goes up. And short-term volatility. Gold, $1,808 as we speak. I drew in this triangle some weeks ago. Interesting. Look, stop hunt below this low. Took out these two lows here. And then boom, bounce up back into the triangle. I wouldn't be surprised if the closer we get to this inflection point of this triangle, something happens. Either breakout to the upside or to the downside. If markets maybe correct a bit, let's see whether this time the correlation of metals to the equity indices is a bit more negative and they go up. But we have seen before that suddenly there's a correlation and metals go down with equities. So if you have a very long-term view, yeah, the week chart here, a very long-term view, you may want to have some metals in your portfolio, possibly. But that depends also on what you're trying to do. Okay. Silver, a bit more complex, $23.97. You see this little consolidation going on. I've joined in some weeks ago. We had the lower part of the consolidation. Maybe bounces back up into there, but also rather neutral. I stay away from this one. So equities, crypto, oil, metals. Let's look at euro dollar also on a long-term chart. Yeah, this is a week chart, okay? And that's something I recommend anyone. Go to your naked price chart and just go on the higher time frames and understand what the big picture is. Because then you know in what kind of market stage you are, just with the naked chart, really, in a bit of common sense. You see the high here at 1.25568, and you see the low here at 1.06051. We are slightly above the middle of this consolidation, and this is 2014. You see those stop hunts. Look, low, low, boom, taken. High, high, boom, taken. So I like what I'm seeing here. It shows that possibly we get some good trades in this period. We are not in a long-term trend, or we are on an extreme level. We are somewhere in the middle. The dollar can get stronger if longies come in, and vice versa. If shorties come in, it can get weaker. We've seen it before, and we know it's all driven by the causality. Yeah, we are not gambling on any technical things like many traders do, who have a very bad hit rate. But this is just to give you an orientation to understand where we are. Okay. So, by the way, I found some ETFs I like, some thematic ones. I may in the future, in the next weeks or month, make some videos about those. These are long-term investments as well. And I may present some of those just for fun. I've worked as a broker before, so I like to also look at other markets, even though Forex is my passion, as you know. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let's see what happens whether all the asset classes, in case of a correction, will move together and equities will go down together with crypto and metals, or whether it's more complex and the correlation is not as high as we have observed before. Also understand that at this stage of the global financial market developments of the last years, many people think that this is normal, and definitely it's not. Okay, there can be crash moves in the markets, and this should not be underestimated. And this is also true for single stocks, of course. Crypto is exciting. These are young markets, but we see a financial revolution going on. If you ask me, they're here to stay. At this stage, it looks unlikely that they will just disappear, or someone tries to regulate against them. We have many billionaires invested in crypto. We have many startups. We have even blockchain ETFs and everything. Very interesting. It will change the financial markets in the next years and decades. And overall, we're just the beginning phase of this, okay? But, of course, there's massive volatility. Don't be a fool and try to, scalp this or whatever. That's a loser's game. Understand there's a whole generation of inexperienced traders around. They are often on YouTube. They haven't seen other market phases, okay? They think that, they can just, buy one market and come out on top. And they will be surprised. I even see people trying to sell bots and crypto and whatnot. It's ridiculous. Don't fall for the suckers game. Buy and hold a physical thing. So just in case it does a crazy move, you can balance out potential inflation also coming from asset price increases in those markets. Yeah. Internationally, we have seen, on the one hand, a shift in wealth in the last years. On the other hand, if you ask me, it just shows the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Because guess what? The ones who benefited most from those kind of market moves were, of course, people who were invested before they happened. Yes. Not the people on the street or workers. These are people who are cash rich or asset rich, who are invested and who benefited from One of the most impressive bull markets in history after an aggressive clear out. Look at that, by the way. Boom, low cleaned. We see those moves every day on the lower time frames in Forex. So it's nothing to be too unusual. Okay, we see all kinds of moves on all time frames all the time. That's why we do short-term trading. Without the market causality, however, you're completely lost in Forex, as you know. Okay, you need to understand where the positions are, the stops, limits, orders, what you need to do. Otherwise, you're also falling for a sucker's game. Okay, stay safe.